Introduction to slope-intercept form. This is probably the most common form you're going to see when we talk about linear equations. Okay, slope-intercept form you'll use it through the rest of your math life. Okay, our three goals is I can identify the slope-intercept form of a linear equation. We'll talk about what that is. I can identify the slope and y-intercept from a linear equation in slope-intercept form. And then I can write a linear equation in slope-intercept form given the slope and y-intercept. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look. What slope-intercept form is, y equals mx plus b. Y equals mx plus b, where m represents the slope. So this, let's apologize. So this right here is the slope. Whatever number, you're going to see a number there. Whatever number is in front of the x will always tell you the slope of the graph. It'll tell you whether it's a positive slope, a negative slope. If it's a zero slope, you won't even have an x there. We'll get to that later. But that will always tell you right here, what is your slope? So if we can't figure it out the way we did it in our last video, we can just look at it, the equation. If they give it to us, and boom, that's the slope. Okay, and then next, they give us another letter, b. B is always going to be the y-intercept. So whatever is at the end, it's a constant. Constant is a number that's all by itself, doesn't have a variable next to it. That will always tell you where you cross the y-axis, every time. Okay? So let's take a look at a couple examples. All right, so we have y equals 3x plus 5. Okay, so where is the slope? So remember, the slope is in the m position, and the m position is right before the x. Let's come back to our first equation. What's in front of the x? It's a 3. So my slope is 3. Which means it has a rise of 3 and a run of 1. Okay, now remember, the y-intercept is whatever the b is, or whatever number that's attached at the end. So in this case, what number is attached at the end? It's a positive 5. So my b, or my y-intercept, would be 5. Okay, so that means I would start at the 5, and then go up 3, right 1, and that's how I would create the graph of that linear equation. All right, let's look at some others. So the next example, what is in front of the x? It's a negative 1/2. So my slope is a negative 1/2, which would mean down 1, right 2. And where is my y-intercept? Well, my y-intercept is this number that's attached at the end. In this case, my y-intercept is negative 6. Okay, looking at our next problem. What's the slope? Well, what's sitting in front of the x? It's a negative 4. So that means my slope is down 4, right 1. Because remember, negative 4 is the same thing as saying negative 4 over 1. It's the exact same thing. So slope is down 4, right 1. What is the y-intercept? The number right here at the end will tell me where I should be crossing the y-axis. And then the last one, you will notice there's a 7/2 in front of the x, so my slope is a rise of 7, a run of 2. But what's behind it? There's nothing written behind it. There's not a number. If there's not a number there, that means it's a plus 0. So my y-intercept, my b, would be at 0. So that's simply how we can find the slope and the y-intercept in slope-intercept form. That's one of the reasons why this is the most common form you'll see, is because it's very simple to interpret and figure out what the slope and the y-intercept is. Okay, now let's write the equation. Let's go backwards. Okay, so in your equation, we will have a y equals something x and then plus or minus something. Okay? So in this case, our slope is 3. And that goes right in front of the x. So rise 3, run 1. And the b, in this case, is a positive 7, is what we write at the end. So since it's a positive 7, we say plus 7. So we have y equals 3x plus 7 for this linear equation. For our second equation, y equals, what is my slope? My slope is negative 2/3. So I write negative 2/3 x, and my y-intercept is a negative 7. So I write minus 7. And there is the linear equation in slope-intercept form. Okay, and then this last one, we got y equals, and my slope is 1. So we can put 1x, but we don't necessarily have to put the 1 in front of there, because we know there has to be at least 1x if the x is written down. So we're just going to say y equals x, and then my y-intercept is 4. So y equals x plus 4. If you like the 1, you can say y equals 1x plus 4. But you will very, very seldom ever see it written this way. It will almost always be this way if you have a slope of 1. Okay? And then, just real quick, another one. What if we had a slope of 0? We talked about slope of 0. If I had a slope of 0 and the y-intercept of 2, I would say y equals, well, I would put the 0 in front of the x. So y equals 0x plus 2. But what is 0 times x? 0 times x is just 0. So actually, this line would just be written as y equals 2. And y equals 2 is just a horizontal line that's laying down that doesn't have a slope. Okay, so if you ever have a slope of 0, it's 0x plus 2. However, we don't write the 0x because 0 times x is nothing. So we just have y equals 2. Okay, so let's take a look at our 3 goals. I can identify the slope-intercept form of a linear equation, which is just y equals mx plus b. I can identify the slope, which is in the m position, the y-intercept, which is in the b position. And then if I know what m and b are, I can go backwards and I can put it in the equation in slope-intercept form. Those are our 3 goals. Go ahead and work on your assignment, and please reach out if you have any questions.